My name is Prez Ngongo. I'm 22 years old and I played for Preston for 6 years and now I'm no longer in the game. I tore my meniscus as a second-year scholar. I've come up against the likes of 𝔹𝕖𝕔𝕠𝕞𝕒 and 𝔹𝕝𝕒𝕁𝕨𝕭𝕁. This is my journey. My first memory of football, I'd probably say the earliest memory I could think of would just be playing football in early days at school. Reception probably comes to mind, just playing football at dinner time, lunchtime, before school, after school on the playground. And then I think whilst I was in reception, it was the 2004 Euros as well. So obviously just supporting England and watching the likes of Ronaldo, Rooney and stuff in that tournament. That's the earliest memory I can think of, really. How I got scouted, it's quite a funny story. So basically I just been released. I've been on trial at a few clubs. The most recent was Blackburn. I got released by Blackburn. And then I was just playing locally back in my Sunday League team, Mill Hill at the time. And we must have come up against like a showcase team in Burnley. And I played well in that game. I scored a hat-trick. And then one of the scouts at Preston was watching the game. But obviously I didn't know that he was watching the game. And then a week after that, I must have gone to one of my friend's party. And one of my mates, their dad worked for Preston. And then he just came up to me and he was saying, just as a joke, like, do you know that Preston have been watching you and they want you to go on trial? But obviously, I just thought he was joking. But obviously, whilst I was at the party, Preston had already reached out to my dad asking me to go on trial. But obviously, I don't know this because I'm at the party. The next day when I've gone home, that's when my dad's obviously told me that on Wednesday, you're going to be going on trial with Preston. And then the trial process, obviously Wednesday came, ended up going down to Preston. It was even late. We got there like 30 minutes late or so, and obviously they're training for 2 hours, so I only had an hour and a half to train. I ended up going on the pitch, and then I seen Hafy, but he didn't even clock me right to the end because the guy can't see. And then after the training session, one of the coaches called Rob, he just came up to me and he just said he doesn't think that I need a 6 weeks trial, and they just wanted to sign me from just that hour and a half of just training. And that's where my journey at Preston began. My time at Preston before my scholarship, everything went quite quick. Obviously, like I just said before, I ended up signing for my first session, and then for the rest of that under 13 season, I just progressed literally week after week. You know, like some people, when they go from playing Sunday League to academy football, they find it kind of difficult, the transition. But for me, it just came normal. It just went fast. And then obviously that season, I was kind of just trying to find my way, get used to being in academy and things like that. But the following season, when we returned in under 14s, it's kind of the season where I established myself at Preston. I literally started the season playing with the under 14, and then pre-season I was obviously training with the under 15s here and there. But from then, it literally just took off. I was finding myself being put up with the under 15s quite a lot. And then before you know it, I was put in an under 16 game, which is 2 years above my age. And then literally the weekend before my 14th birthday, I found out I was playing with the under 18s in the league game. And I ended up starting that game against Fleetwood. and played the whole 90 minutes, and we won. And I played really well. So my time before my scholarship, it was probably my best times at Preston, if I'm honest. Like, is the time where I enjoyed it the most, and I was, enjoying my football. I was the happiest the most at Preston, from under 13s to under 16s, if I'm honest. I achieved quite a lot for a young age, playing a year above, 2 years above, playing with the under 18s at the age of 13. You don't really hear of them things, so they were the best times ever before my scholarship. When I found out that I got my scholarship, it was an amazing feeling. Obviously, you work hard for moments like this, so to be told that obviously you're getting a 2-year scholarship, it was just a relief. I was buzzing. And obviously the situation at the time with our age group, if you know about Preston at the time, we had so many good players. So looking at the year above as well, they had a good team as well. So all that season when we was playing, everyone was just thinking like, who's going to get the scholar, like how many players are they going to take on because of the year above, and obviously our team having a good squad as well. So just to be sat in that meeting and the first thing they say to me, like, you're getting your scholarship, I was just buzzing. Like, there's no other words I can say. During my scholarship, there was a lot of ups and downs, but there was more downs than a lot of good times. Obviously my first year, it was just kind of stop-start in terms of just being in and out of the team, little niggles, injuries here and there. So like, I couldn't really pick up the consistency and just be playing and just kick on with obviously the season beforehand in under 16. And I thought coming into my scholarship, that's what I was going to do. Obviously from under 13 to under 16, it's just been progression. So I thought obviously my first year was going to be the same, but it didn't turn out that way. And obviously going into my second year, I kind of was trying to make up time for the year past. But again, started the season well in my second year. Come November, I got injured. I tore my meniscus, and that was the first time in my life, or in my career, I'd say, I'd ever, picked up an injury that serious. Obviously, at first hand, didn't even think it would be that serious. With playing the 90 minutes game, waking up the next morning, I couldn't walk, and then which led on to obviously not being to train, being put on shutdown, and then next thing you know, I was getting a scan. The scan came back, tore my meniscus, and then I was literally trying my best to come back as fast as I could, because as you know, as a scholar, the biggest game of your life is the FA Youth Cup. But unfortunately, I didn't get to make it back to play any of those games. I made it back to the bench, which I would probably say that's my biggest achievement in my scholarship, because most things that I achieved was off the pitch stuff. If I'm honest, there's nothing I can really say in my time as a scholar on the pitch that I can look back and say, you know what, I did that and it was a good feeling. But other than just making it back on the bench for the FA Youth Cup after all the setbacks I had with being out for 5 months, and then on top of that, finding out that obviously I'm not being offered a professional contract. So I had quite a lot of things I had to deal with on the pitch and off the pitch. So I don't really look back in my scholarship and think, you know what, I had an amazing time. Don't get me wrong, I met some good friends, who I still speak to this day, which is obviously amazing, but I was purely there for football and I wanted to make it as a pro. But when I look at it back at football wise, it wasn't a great time for me. Biggest regret? I don't really have any regrets, because I'm a big believer that of everything happens for a reason. And coming from a religious family, I just, obviously growing up, my parents always told me like everything is part of God's plan. So everything that I've experienced within my life so far, whether it's good or bad, is just part of my journey. So I don't really regret anything at all. Yo, God, it just has me questioning a lot of things. Why has my life gone this way, and I compare myself to others, but at the end of the day, that's their journey and this is my journey.